All right, today we're tackling a big one. We're going to unpack the deep, structural reasons why negotiations between the United States and Iran are just so incredibly difficult.
You know, it's a question that's really puzzled people for a long, long time. How can Iran, a country that's been hammered by sanctions for decades, be such a tough, stubborn negotiator when they're up against a superpower like the U.S.? Well, as we're about to see, the answer has less to do with who's at the negotiating table and everything to do with how they got there.
Because the real story here isn't just about diplomacy. It's about two completely different systems for finding and training talent. It's a fundamental clash of structures, not just personalities or politics.
Okay, so first, let's dive into the mystery of Iran's strength. What's the secret sauce here? Where does this incredible resilience at the negotiating table actually come from?
Well, it turns out it's this really potent mix. Since the revolution back in '79, Iran has basically perfected a system that identifies the smartest people in the country and then fuses that raw talent with an absolute, unwavering loyalty to the regime.
You could almost picture it like a machine, like a factory for producing a very specific kind of person, a loyal expert. It's a three-layered pipeline designed to create someone who's brilliant, disciplined, and totally committed. Let's break down how this machine actually works.
So this whole pipeline has three main stages. Each one is designed to narrow the field, starting with pure academic smarts, then layering on a super strict ideological filter, and finally, finishing with highly specialized training. Step 1 is the Konkoor. And you have to understand, this isn't just any test. We're talking about one of the most brutal university entrance exams on the planet. Only the absolute best of the best, the top few percent, get into elite schools like Sharif University. And from there, they're funneled directly into the state's most important projects, like the nuclear and missile programs.
But here's the thing, being smart is not enough, not even close. That brings us to step 2, ideology. From a very young age, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, and its militia, the Basij, are on the lookout for promising, loyal students. They're put through intensive indoctrination, ensuring that all that brainpower is aligned with the revolution. This is the key. It's an ideological pipeline just as much as it is an academic one.
And if you make it through all of that, you end up at these specialized universities. And listen, these are not your average colleges. Imam Sadiq University is basically a factory for diplomats and government ministers. Imam Hossein University? That's where they train IRGC commanders and top nuclear scientists. This is the dedicated pipeline for the regime's future leaders.
So what do you get at the end of this assembly line? You get this incredible hybrid elite. These are people who are technically brilliant, many have even studied in the West. They can argue nuclear physics with the best of them. But, and this is the crucial part, they are fundamentally, unshakably loyal to the supreme leader's red lines. They can speak the language of the West, but they will never ever compromise on core principles.
Okay, so that's Iran's system. Now let's flip the coin and look at the United States. Because here, the whole game is completely different. It's not defined by long-term continuity, it's defined by the election cycle.
Because in the U.S. system, one event can change everything. An election. A new president comes in, and with them comes a new agenda, new priorities, and most importantly, a whole new team of people in charge. Every 4 to 8 years, the playbook can get thrown out and completely rewritten.
And you don't have to look any further than the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, to see this in action. It's been a total roller coaster. Under Obama, you had career experts who painstakingly negotiated the deal. Then, under Trump, a new team of political appointees came in, and their entire policy was to withdraw and apply maximum pressure. And then a few years later, with Biden, another new team comes in trying to pick up the pieces. This constant whiplash is a direct result of the American system.
And this really gets to the heart of the two kinds of people you find in the U.S. system. On one side, you've got the career professionals. These are the folks with deep institutional knowledge, the technical experts who think in terms of decades. On the other side, you've got the political appointees. Their loyalty is to the current president's agenda, and their focus is often on getting a deal done before the next election. So, what happens when you put these two completely different models in the same room? When Iran's steady, ideologically driven experts face off against America's constantly shifting teams, well, that's where you get the clash.
And this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? Iran brings loyal technocrats with a consistent, long-term strategy.
Their strength is their technical depth and their endurance, so they settle in for a war of attrition. The U.S., on the other hand, brings a mix of appointees and career staff. Their strategy is driven by the election clock. Their strength is overwhelming power and flexibility, so their style is all about pressure and getting a deal done.
If you want to boil it all down to one sentence, it's this. Iran's system is built to last, so it weaponizes time. The U.S. system is built for action, so it weaponizes pressure.
Okay, and this is a really important point. This whole analysis isn't about saying one system is better or superior to the other. It's about recognizing that they're just designed completely differently, and those designs lead to very predictable clashes.
There's a quote that just nails it. It's not that one is better than the other, it's that their fundamental operating systems are different. And that's exactly right. One is like a closed OS, optimized for consistency. The other is an open OS, optimized for flexibility and power.
All right, so let's recap the big takeaways here. First, Iran's negotiating power isn't magic, it's structural. It comes from a very deliberate system that produces these loyal experts. Second, for the U.S., its greatest strength, that democratic flexibility, can also be its biggest weakness at the negotiating table, creating a lack of long-term consistency. And finally, it's these deep-seated systemic differences that make these negotiations so incredibly tough.
So, with all this in mind, here's something to think about. The next time you see a headline about a breakthrough or a breakdown in U.S.-Iran talks, you can look beyond just the diplomats in the room. You can start to ask which part of each country's system is really driving this outcome, because understanding the machine behind the people, well, that changes everything.